Okay.
Hello, everybody. It is Coach Lisa with the Running University. And if you've been following me on YouTube for a while, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, welcome. Once a month, I have decided I am interviewing members of my True Tribe. True meaning the Running University. That's my company. But I have an amazing group of women, and they have such great inspirational stories that I thought, you know what, I just need to start interviewing them and get their stories out there. So hopefully they can inspire you too. So today we're talking to Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Coach Lisa. Good to see
So
you.
it's good to see you too. I like that you have your Running University shirt on and you have
Of
purple
course.
glasses to match it.
Yeah. Yep.
So fun. We're a little obsessed with the purple. So,
We are.
and it was your favorite color, I think, before you even came to the tribe.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
So it just worked out perfect.
Right.
Um, let's start out with your story as far as when did you start running? How old are you now? And if you remember where we met.
Okay. So I started running when I was 58. I am now 64. Tomorrow I'll be 64 and a half. I started running, actually, I've been in the fitness industry for a while. I'm a personal trainer. So, I was in decent shape, but I was never a runner. I had bad knees. I was told I could never run, but some of my coworkers were talking about doing the rock and roll half marathon, and it sounded like so much fun that I said, maybe I could give this a try. So at 58, I did my first race, and that was a half marathon, and then I did it again a year later. And in between that, I just did, casual running. And then shortly after that, because that was in January, and I think I met you in March of 2019. It seems like I've known you a lot longer than that.
It does feel that
March.
way.
So yeah, so I was relatively new at running, and I'd always been a hiker. I've always liked hiking. So I had just started dabbling in the idea of combining the two and doing a little bit of running while I was on the trail. And I met you at an event at a running shoe store where I occasionally would join their little running groups. And you just started asking me all the right questions, like, are you a runner? Have you tried trail running? And I was like, I just happened to start trying that. And you're like, I'm all about getting women on the trail. And I believe you invited me to an event called Running for Brews that took place every Tuesday night. And I went the very next week, and I started going on a regular basis. And then you mentioned that you were doing a training program for a particular trail race up in Flagstaff. And somehow I decided I was going to give that a try. So, yeah.
And so amazing, right? And again, Barbara has been in the fitness world. She's a personal trainer. And actually, the next question I want to find out from you, because she trains elderly. I hate to even use that word. I guess elderly is okay to say, for sure. It's not a bad thing. Because we always say, like, we're aging. We embrace our aging. We love our aging. I love even the fact that you started at 58, because so many people think, I'm just too old. I'm too old to do it. It's going to be hard on my knees. And, of course, then you learn she running. So I guess that kind of helped with that part too. But yeah, tell me a little bit about what you do. I know we're steering out way a little bit, but I just feel like it's so inspirational because I met one of your clients that you've been training. So maybe even just maybe share a little bit about her if you.
Yeah. So I work, I as a personal trainer, I worked with everything from teenagers to older people. I ended up getting a job in a retirement community, and I'm a personal trainer there. I have quite a few clients. I work with them one-on-one, and they could be anywhere from, I think my youngest is 70 and my oldest is about 95. So quite a range. Some of these, most of my clients happen to be ladies. And a lot of them never set foot in a gym before, because in their generation, you just didn't go to the gym, but the younger ones did. So it's quite a range. And that's what I love about it. I have really, really active, fit people, and I have very frail older ladies. But yeah, the one that you're referring to, she's just about to turn 93 years old, and she is amazing. She's an inspiration to me. I mean, I look at her and like, I want to be her when I grow up.
Like literally.
Yeah, she's always been. She always likes to say, I've been blessed with good genes, but I've worked at it too. She goes, it's a combination of both. It's lifestyle and genetics. And fortunately, I've worked at it really hard, she says, and she can do over a 2 minute plank, and she's almost 93 years old. And I struggle to get through a minute. I hate planks, but
I
I
can't.
make
I
I
can
make my
barely do a
clients do
minute.
them. Yeah, I could do it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
And she's just a really good example. And when the other residents see her working out, she inspires them as well. So it just kind of confirms or reaffirms the idea that you're never too old to start. You just need to keep moving, and take advantage. If you have good genetics, that's great. If you don't, just do what you can to work around it. But yeah, there's no age limits. It's age is just a number. And that's kind of cliche, but it's so true.
So true. And
Yeah.
I think, that whole idea of keeping healthy, moving especially. And again, you're inspiring your clients inspire you. It's kind of what we do all the way around. Because again, I
Mhm.
feel, my niche as we, even though we have some younger people, but I say it's 50 plus. Like we have women who have just started later in their lives. And yeah, it's never too late. We're all here to prove it. And the
Right.
90-year-old even amazing. Let's go then now back to your running. So we had met, and yes, it was an ultra running event at Soul Sports. I'm just
Hmm.
mentioning those names because I love ultra running shoes. And Soul Sports is one of our favorite local running stores. And yeah, I think I remember you saying that you like to run at night, but you didn't have people to run with except for there, and that's how you got to running for Bruise.
Right.
And then yeah, I guess Big Pine, that's the Flagstaff race.
That was
So,
it.
right, and that was your first trail race.
It was my first, a lot of things. It was my first trail race. It was my first double trail race because we did one at night and then another one the next day. It was my first, what was it? It was the first something else too. It
First
was my
night
first
trail race.
first
Nice.
night trail race. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
my first night trail race. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the first in a lot of ways. And yeah, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
And
And
do
I
you
think,
remember? How did you feel before? Were you a little nervous? Do you remember?
oh yeah, yeah. I love running on trails, but every single time I go out on the trail, I'm outside of my comfort zone. I am always nervous. It's always a challenge for me. I mean, some people it's like it's great and I love it, but I'm always stepping out of my comfort zone every time I do it. And I was really proud of myself for doing all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And that was just
amazing.
the beginning because that was just a 6K and a 13K.
Right,
Just.
exactly. Yeah. We
Yeah.
always try not to say just about any
Yeah.
distance, but because she's about ready to share with you how far she's come. So in comparison to some of the things she's done, it would be just a 6K and a 13K. So I love that you say that it is constantly getting out of your comfort zone. This is what we do. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not easy, but when you put yourself out of your comfort zone, we always say you can do hard things. And not only does
Yeah.
that affect you in your running life, but then of course you can do, it prepares you to do hard things in life as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move forward then, because you have had a lot of firsts, and that's a really huge thing we talk about in the tribe too, is people doing first time experiences, because you only get that first opportunity once, and then
Right.
usually it propels to something else. So I think maybe we could head out to talk about, you were going to do your first 50K at Crown King. Was that the first?
Hmm.
Was that the
Yes.
first? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us what
50K.
happened.
Like, yeah. So I had only done a half marathon, a 13K, and I think I was working towards a marathon. And I remember somebody telling me a 50K is only about 5 or 6 miles more than a marathon. Because in my mind, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. That's it. That's all there is. I'd never even heard of ultra running at first. So yeah, now all of a sudden I'm training to do a 50K. Yeah, at Crown King. But it
Right.
didn't happen.
Tell us why it didn't happen, Barbara.
Well, for two reasons. Well, for one thing, it didn't happen. It got canceled because of COVID. But I took myself out of it a couple of weeks before that. I was doing a 30K at Mesquite Canyon as a training run for Crown King. And, well, because you were there, Lisa, we were running
there
together.
with
We've been leapfrogging through that whole race. And we were about a mile and a half from the finish talking about getting that pizza and beer and how great it was going to be. And there was a photographer on the course, and I looked up, perfectly flat trail, easiest part of the course. And I looked up to smile for the photographer. And next thing I know, I'm on the ground and I had broken my wrist. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And I just remember Lisa, I could hear her behind me going, "Oh no." It was like slow motion.
I felt
and I
like
stood up and went, "That doesn't look right."
Exactly. I felt like it all happened in slow motion because we were, right? We had leapfrog.
You did.
So Barbara's stronger on uphills, I'm stronger on the downhill. So this whole 33K, it felt like we were, and then finally at the end, we were there together. We were having a grand old time talking about, like, couldn't wait to have the beer and the pizza. And then we ended up in the emergency room instead, actually, right? And figured the emergency room. So yes, please watch out for those photographers when you're out there. So you had to cancel, and then you had to get surgery, and then you were out of commission.
Right.
And then so then now remind me how then the next one happened with Frenzy.
So
the same year or the year after?
It was the same year. It was a really great year. 2020. Great year for everybody. So March of 2020 is when I did the first one. And then, so I didn't get my 50K at Crown King. So I started to train for the McDowell Mountain Frenzy 50K, which I did. I made it and I finished it, but I fell again and broke my other wrist. So I did about the last 5 or 6 miles holding a broken wrist up over my head with ice wrapped around it. And, but I did finish. I finished both races, so yeah.
Go, you go, girl, you go. I know. Go, 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 go.
Yes, and funny because I was going back through your member spotlight, and I have a question on the plus. It was the question about when have you felt the most badass as a runner? And I don't know.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Could have quit. Like, you were at 5 to 6 miles, and that's quite a bit to go through, like with your hand up. And again, she already had the same injury only on the other hand. And here she is.
So there was an aid station after I fell where I could have pulled out, but I was like, I'm so close and I haven't done a 50K yet. So I was like, I gotta get to the finish line somehow. So I just walked the rest of the way holding my wrist. I tried to run for a few seconds and it didn't feel very good. So I just walked the rest of the way and finished it.
But seriously, what a trooper. Like, even to this day, right? Like you say, it still is getting out of your comfort zone. But I think all of us.
More so now.
Right? Yes, right. And I always say all the time, like, there's never any guarantee. We can be careful as much as we can. But when you're out on the trail, there are some higher risks. So I love the fact that, as much as that is still there in your head, it hasn't stopped you. You're still out there. You're still getting out on the trails with us. And we love having you out on the trails with us. So I think the other thing I wanted to talk about, just because, again, I like to turn people on to new ideas. And I think this was also, again, a first time experience for you. And you just kind of took off with it, is the whole timed events. The whole, I don't know if you remember when you did your first one, but maybe if you want to share a little bit about, because this is really epic, y'all. You have to wait to hear the end of this story because she just did something amazing. And I'll probably have this finish line video to show later.
Oh my gosh, with my lean going on. So I forget when it was, but the True Tribe actually did it as an event. I think that was a 6-hour looped timed event. It was my first time I've done it. I like trying new stuff for the first time. So the idea with a looped event or the timed event is you don't have a set distance, you have a set amount of time, and you can do whatever distance you want in that. And I think we went from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. because it was summertime in Arizona. It was hot. So we started running at 1 o'clock in the morning. We just run around a 500-meter course in circles and see how far you can go. And it was awesome. I thought, this is going to be excruciating, it's going to be boring, but it's actually really cool because, for one thing, you're out there with elite runners who are really like working on world records and stuff. And when you're on a 500-meter course, you see them often. I mean, any other race, if there's an elite runner, they take off and you never see them again. But in a loop, it's like they're lapping you 3 or 4 times every time you go around. So it's awesome. You get to be out with like really great runners, and everything elites to people who just walk the whole distance. But I got hooked on it. So that year I did the 6 hour, and the next year I signed up for a series, which is called a double. So the first one you do 6 hours, then you do 12, then you do 24.
How much did you do in the first 6? Sorry to interrupt. When you did
I don't remember how far I did. I wasn't really. Yeah, I really don't remember what the distance was.
Doesn't matter.
But the next year when I did the series, again, I don't remember the exact amount I did, but when I got to the 24-hour one, I thought, well, I'm going to do, oh no, it was the 12-hour one happened to be on my 63rd birthday.
That's right.
So I'm like, I'm going to try to go 63 kilometers on my 63rd birthday. And I did. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And in a loop, it's different. It's interesting. And then when I did the 24-hour, my goal was to do 50 miles. And I hit 50 miles and went to sleep for a while and got up in the morning and did a few more miles. And when I looked at the end, I converted it to kilometers, and it was like 90 some kilometers. And I'm like, that's not too far away from 100 kilometers. So this past year, I decided, why not go for 100 kilometers in the 24 hours? So in December, I did the 24 hours. I did 100K in the rain. It rained the whole time. Yeah. But I did it. So it was pretty cool. I was pretty proud of myself. But if you show that finish line video, I am leaning to, well, I guess, and I'm not sure how this shows up in the video, but I had a serious ultra runner's lean, which is a thing I never knew about until recently.
All right, here she comes, crossing the finish line. Yay! And this is going to be too bright. Here we go. Woo!
But it was fun. So now I'm going to sign up for it again this year. I don't know what my goal is going to be, but yeah.
Decide yes. Love it. So, Matt, if you just think about even just everything, there's so many other things in between, but we were really highlighting some of the big things that you've done to go from, having done your first half marathon to now 100K. And really, for those of you that are listening to this, the timed events, I always say, are so underestimated. They are definitely it's very mental. I mean, because you have to go around, and again, you can decide to sit it out and take a nap for whatever you want. You basically do whatever you want. It's your time that you paid for. But so many people aren't aware of those. And I love to even bring this up with walkers, because in a lot of these, again, it's your time. So for anybody who's afraid of missing a cutoff or wanting to do a marathon and they're really worried about a cutoff, like, you could find one of these events, and as long as it fits the time, 6, 12 hours, however long you think it would take you, you just go do one of these timed events. And Barbara's done it. You found that it's kind of your thing. You really like those.
I like it a lot. Yeah. I don't listen to music. I don't listen to podcasts. I just get in this zone and I just go.
It can be so social. Like, our first one was very much a social event. It was fun because we kept running into each other. And, I think the first ones that you did that you mentioned were on a 500 meter course. And then when you did do that last 100K that you did last year, December, it was a mile. It was a mile course. So these events you'll find all over the world, I'm sure. And actually, they came. Not going to get into the whole spiel, but for people who are interested, from pedestrianism. Actually, it's like a thing. So if you Google pedestrianism, I listened to a podcast once. But yeah, like before baseball was even a thing, in those days, I don't know, early 1900s. I'm not good with dates and stuff. But people would walk in these loops on a course, and they would bet. People would bet on people, like how long they could go. That's the history behind those, which I think is fascinating. So, all right. So we just went through really, you did so much. And since, what did you say, 2019?
2019, yeah.
Oh my gosh, here we are, 20. Who knows what else could be happening for Barbara? Never know. So I guess just to wrap it up, maybe if anybody was, curious, or, what advice would you give anybody, either about, joining our group or just starting to run at whatever age they are? Any advice?
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, I'd been told I had no cartilage in my knees and that I shouldn't run. I think having a good base of technique it is key. So working with a coach like you, Lisa, has been really helpful. It's helped me to stay injury free, and I actually feel like my knees are better now since I've been running than before. Um, so it's never too late. Just don't go out there and run a half marathon without training for it. I started out walking 3 minutes, running a half, like running 30 seconds. I mean, you just have to build up to it. So if you have a plan and you train and you're careful about it and you learn some good technique, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. As far as like joining a group like the True Tribe, I honestly, as I said, early on, I thought, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, that's it. There's nothing beyond that. I don't think I would have done anything beyond a marathon had I not gotten into this group. People joke about, Lisa's,
like Kool-Aid,
giving people the Kool-Aid, the purple Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when you see, I remember the first time when I joined the training group for the Big Pine, that first trail race that I ever did, and I walked into the group for the first time and I looked around and I was expecting to see a bunch of 25-year-old women who weighed 110 pounds. And I looked around and I'm like, okay, she's older than me. She's way heavier than me. And we're all different sizes, different shapes, and we're all runners. So I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. And that's exactly how it turned out to be. And just from hearing the other women talk about things that they had done, it's like, well, maybe I can do that. And so I never would have gotten out on a trail. I never would have at night. Certainly. As I said, I was dabbling in trail running. I never would have run on a trail at night. And now to me, it's like the most magical experience running on the trail at night in our deserts here in Arizona or in the pine forests up in Flagstaff. It's magical. I never would have done that on my own. I never would have tried to do a 50K. I never would have gotten into the timed looped events. And I just recently did my first staged event too in Moab, a 3-day stage event. That was another first for me. I don't think I would have done any of those things if I hadn't been part of this group. So I would say if the True Tribe there's a lot of local women, but it's also national, international. I would highly recommend it as a way to get support, encouragement, maybe a little arm twisting, but definitely lots of support and encouragement.
For sure. And, kind of to bring it all full circle, we were talking earlier about people aging, and how important movement is to keep us young. Mm-hmm. But the socialization is another really big thing as we age and how important it is. And we all, the running and the walking is what brought people in the tribe together. But to see the friendships that have come out of it, just to see the love, really. I mean, there's love. And so, definitely, if anybody's watching this and you have any interest, just send me an email at least@therunningsuniversity.com. Tell me that you saw this, and then I'll give you a free trial to come in. I would love to have you check that out. So thank you so much, Barbara. I so appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today.
Of course, thank you. Well, I hung out with you at track this morning too.
That's true.
I like hanging out with you. Yeah,
we did hang out at track this morning. So yes, and that is, again, even if you can't. It's great to have the local presence, right? Like I do love to be able to see people, but sometimes you can't. And I have a lot of people that are online that still get a lot of benefit from being with us. So don't let the fact that we're local stop you from reaching out to me, people listening to this. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So here we are. It is Sunday morning. What day is it? December 4th. And here's Barbara. She just crossed her longest distance finish line. We're at the Fat Ox.
I did 100K.
That's right.
Over 2 days.
Yeah, watch out.
No, it was 24 hours.
24 hours. She started yesterday at 8 o'clock in the morning. She's been going around in this 1 mile loop on cement in the rain most of the time. And she's a freaking rock star. Super proud of her. I wanted to get a video of her crossing the finish line, but we weren't sure if she had hit it or not yet. And she's at 62.24. So she definitely did her 100K. She's also in 3rd place right now. So we're going around just to really solidify this amazing, epic finish line. One more time, Barbara. Woo!
In 3rd place, Barbara Brownlee, 63.2.
Go, Barbara. Right behind you. I got it.
Breaking news! Barbara has completed her 100K. I can't even. 100K is 100K, but how about this weather we're having? Eek. I don't even like to go outside to pee. And she just did 100K. Great job, Barbara. And True Tribe peeps, you're all kicking it. Great job.